You know, folks, I've had some very interesting discussions with other viewers of A Jazzman's Blues, which has been out for a week. Today, it came out last Friday. And overall, I've seen positive responses to the film. Yeah, I mean, seriously, this is one of those films where, for those who have any real, like, negative things to say, it only, like, for me, comes from the ending of the film. Everybody says the same thing. It isn't necessarily about Bayou's murder, which was messed up, but a lot of people are quick to say, it's a Tyler Perry film. We expect things to go left at the last moment when we want, like, the main characters to have a happy ending when that usually doesn't happen. But, there were just so many unanswered questions about, how things played out or, what happened after the murder and that kind of stuff. But this particular video is more of a character analysis when you compare Ethel, Leanne's mother, and Leanne. Kind of like, are these two not so different when you really think about it? I mean, I've done a video, like, was Leanne really worth it? Was she worth all the trouble that Bayou was going through in order to be happy with her, which led to his murder? And I think one of the biggest things is the fact that Leanne never seemed to make the kind of sacrifices that Bayou did. Like, a lot of people are like, why is Bayou the one always having to take the risk? Like, why didn't Leanne try to escape in the middle of the night with her baby, which turned out to be Bayou's baby, in order to get away from her lifestyle, which was a lie? But another thing to consider is how Jonathan, pretty much like his mother, was unknowingly forced to live a life that he didn't even know was fake. I mean, you could argue that, yeah, if that's the one thing, a couple of things that really got me about the film. And again, a lot of people pointed this out. Like, didn't Ethel ever consider that, there is some, there's black in their family. Are there any darker people in their, family tree? Maybe, obviously, it might have skipped, a couple of generations with them. But what if, I'll marry my daughter off to this white man, but what if she has a baby and the baby comes out with a darker complexion? Wouldn't that raise some eyebrows? Not to mention the whole thing with Jonathan in general. The fact that, or actually, yeah, Jonathan in general, like, then again, Ethel did say Bayou was whistling, not necessarily that they had sex, because if she had told that I saw Leanne and that Negro Bayou having sex, then it's possible they both would have been thrown out on the curb. Leanne may have been killed. I mean, that's obviously one reason why after Bayou's murder, Leanne just kept up the facade and, lived the rest of her days. Not the rest of her days. She was still living it by the end of the film. Basically, between the murder and, at the end of the film, she still pretended to be a white woman. It was for the sake of not being killed, because if it was discovered that, I cheated on John and I did it with a black person and I passed off his son as your son, there's a good chance it would have been murdered. So it's just one of those things where if you look deeper in the context, because I actually looked closer, Ethel, while it's like one of those ends justify the means things, even though her means were definitely mean. Given the time, and I'm not trying to excuse what she did, it was really messed up that she purposefully set it up where Bayou would be killed if it meant getting rid of any obstacle that would ruin her and her daughter's new life. The fact that, yes, I could see why she did it, because especially in the time they were living in, black people had it so bad that if you could pass for white, you'd do it if it meant having a better life in general. Not only that, it's the fact that she kind of, when you think about it, sacrificed her daughter's life in order to secure her own life. Yeah, this will set up my daughter, but it'll also make sure I'm comfy and comfortable as well. But at the same time, you realize she left her daughter with her drunk, abusive, molested, I guess you could say, grandfather that molested her, so that was pretty messed up too. But it kind of reminds me of what Leanne did in a sense, because you think about it, Leanne kind of sacrificed Bayou, where it's like Bayou was in Chicago, he was doing his thing, he was, famous and whatnot, but yeah, even still, he made his own decision to go back, and I think that was still stupid. But you think about it this way, she didn't like the life that she was currently living because, oh, I'm not with the person I love and whatnot, and I'm living a lie, yada, yada, yada. But it came at the cost of Bayou sacrificing, what he had in order to get her. And, all the while you have a child who's living a lie. And that continued until, 1987 when he found out the truth. So you look at how both the mother and Leanne are kind of manipulative in terms of they have a certain lifestyle or way of living that they want to do, but they're not going to be the ones to actively work to make it happen. Even though you could argue that Ethel was definitely more proactive than Leanne. Leanne was more of a, hey, here's the plan, but you need to do everything. She didn't really do any setup. She would just write the letters and deliver them. And, Bayou was, sure, you could argue, well, Leanne was the one who would sneak around in the car, go over to like the Negro section of town and meet up with Bayou. But it was like, if they were caught, which they were because of the mom, at least the first time, which led to him being run out of town, it's always the Negro who will be blamed first. Like, yo, what are you doing up there, Negro? Hey, Leanne, are you okay? It's just one of those things. But I think that Leanne was definitely selfish, It's the fact that she wanted her own happiness, despite the fact that, what's her name? Basically, what was it? The cousin who worked at the juke joint with Hattie Mae and also cleaned the house that, Leanne was living in. She said, I'm not giving him this damn letter because it's going to sign, it's basically his death warrant and I don't want to be a part of it. You're going to get him killed. And Leanne like, no, I want to see him, yada, yada, yada. She literally wanted Bayou to just see him, even if it meant his life was on the line, just so she could be happy. It's just like, Ethel giving up Leanne's life in order for her to be comfortable and happy. Sure, in the long run, oh, my daughter is going to be fine. She has this family she's a part of. It's going to set her up. But at the same time, it sacrifices her, happiness. And, again, it is a risk. Because the risk of what if she has a baby with a darker complexion, that could possibly lead to, death, just like in the same way that Leanne wants to meet up with Bayou and whatnot, but if they get caught, he's dead. So Leanne, like it or not, in a lot of ways, is like her mom. Hate to say it, but it's true. Let me know what you think. So, thanks so much for tuning in. Really messed up. They really both put their children in compromising positions because, again, if Jonathan found out the truth, what would he do? Would he try to confront his step family for killing his real father and he gets killed? They're just a lot. Again, it goes back to a lot of unanswered questions, but at the same time, maybe that was Tyler's intention to spark these conversations. I don't know. So, yeah, let's talk about it more in the comments. Like and subscribe, and I'll catch you in the next one.